Knowing what to buy and what to avoid every single time you go to the grocery store is the difference between you seriously saving or being swindled at the grocery store. That's why you and I have these pantry chats at the start of every month. That's right, I'm here to help you plan, purchase, preserve, and prepare meals that make the most of your money and build a pantry that you and your family will actually enjoy eating. First up is this month's grocery guide. As always, the best way to eat nutritiously and save money is to stick with fruits and vegetables that are in season. Now here's the thing, spring produce sometimes gets off to a rocky start due to unpredictable weather patterns across the country, so keep that in mind as I share this list. So by May, you can expand your veggie dishes with asparagus, artichokes, peas, rhubarb, which I've got several recipes that I'll share with you in a second. You'll also find beets, broccoli, cauliflower, lettuces, zucchini, carrots, celery, collard greens, endive, fennel, leeks, kale, parsnips, onions, potatoes, radishes, and okra at their best taste and lowest price of the season. Now when it comes to your fruits, you'll find cherries, pineapples, apricots, mangoes, strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, peaches, avocados, apples, grapefruits, and nectarines all on sale and in season this month. Oh, that long list of ingredients really opens up a turn in flavors from winter. But more importantly, these items are what you need to plan your meals around this month. These ingredients are also your hint or guide to what you need to be preserving this month. So if you're going to can it, freeze it, ferment it, dehydrate it, pickle it, whatever, make sure you get enough to last you until the next time it's on sale and in season. Here are a few spring recipes perfect for busy home cooks. Cabbage chicken parmesan starts with a head of cabbage that's thickly sliced, then seasoned and roasted until it's caramelized inside. I'm using some bacon grease I saved from yesterday's breakfast to grease my skillet and flavor the cabbage. A dollop of bacon fat simply tastes great and is an excellent source of healthy fat. Sprinkle a bit of pepper on your cabbage slices, then transfer them to a medium warm pan. It only takes a few minutes for them to tenderize and brown, so flip them over, remove them from the heat, then transfer to a 400-degree oven to continue to soften. While that's in the oven, get a second pan and fill it with a bit of oil. Pour panko crumbs in one bowl and crack several eggs to make an egg wash. Create an assembly line to coat your chicken breast and add them to your medium-low heated pan to brown for several minutes on each side. Don't these just look beautiful? When your chicken is finished cooking, remove the cabbage steaks from the oven and spoon marinara on top. Place the chicken breast over the marinara, followed by fresh mozzarella cheese. Fresh herbs truly amp up the flavor, so I headed out back to harvest a handful of fresh basil, oregano, and parsley. Since the herb stems carry tons of flavor, I don't remove them when I ball everything up to chop, and neither should you. Adding fresh herbs like this just makes my heart sing, and I'm so happy the spring garden is back. Pop things back in the oven for a quick minute to melt, and then this meal is finished. The savory taste and soft crunch from the cabbage drizzled in marinara sauce, and the juicy breaded chicken breast covered in melted mozzarella, and fresh herbs is a satisfying and healthy meal you'll feel good about putting on the table. Next up is green pea and bacon mini quiche, a perfect brunch or to-go breakfast I made using a few slices of bacon that I set aside. Dijon mustard, smoked paprika, and cayenne along with shredded Gruyere cheese create so much flavor that the peas lend texture to this recipe because you really can't taste them. Last month I caught lots of pie crust on sale, and this was a way to use them up. Plus, I love tossing veggies in almost anything. These bite-sized quiche will be a hit at your breakfast table. Truly, they are so good. Speaking
of peas, did you know you can use them to make a pea pesto? Avocados are also in season, and this next recipe pairs an avocado with peas to make a fresh tasting pesto. The texture and taste just might surprise you, but it's a dip that I love this time of year because the basic recipe just uses 1 avocado, 1 cup of peas, and a half cup of lime juice with a bit of salt and pepper to taste. You can also add basil and Parmesan to really make it decadent. This is the perfect healthy snack you probably haven't tried. Last month we fermented our asparagus, but this time we're going to make asparagus fries. After removing the ends, which you should always save to make asparagus end soup or asparagus dip, you'll create a dredging station. In the first bowl, combine flour with a bit of seasonal. In a second bowl, combine eggs with a splash of water. And in the third bowl, combine your breadcrumbs with grated Parmesan cheese. Working one at a time, dip the asparagus in flour, then in egg, and finally in panko, coating well. Place in an oven or your air fryer until they're golden crispy. What comes out are fries that are perfect for dipping in your favorite creamy, savory sauce. This is a healthy, low-carb alternative that gives potatoes a run for their money. The prime time for rhubarb is early spring, when the stems are tender and juicy, and before they become tough and fibrous in the later parts of June. These stalks have a tart, lip-puckering taste, which is why it's often paired with sugar or something hot to balance it out. I love kickstarting barbecue season with a few jars of homemade rhubarb sauce, which was popular in the Victorian era. This recipe is also great on pulled pork and grilled chicken. Spices like cinnamon, cloves, and garlic with the heated red pepper flakes creates a homemade barbecue sauce with unique spring flavors.
If this is our first time meeting, hi, I'm Cassandra from the blog becomingafarmgirl.com. I'm here to help you start learning homesteading skills like canning and gardening in a small space and in your spare time. All right, so with Cinco de Mayo, you'll be able to find some great deals on Mexican food. So keep your eyes open for items like salsa, tortillas, corn husks, seasonings, and sauces. And if you love this genre of food as much as we do, consider making and canning your own salsa. I've got an entire video showing you how easy it is to do it, and you don't even need fresh tomatoes or a pressure canner. In that video, I also share 6 meal ideas, including my popular chicken salsa dip, just saying. Oh, that's right, we also have Memorial Day coming up, which means great deals on summer foods. So you're gonna find your summer ingredients like ketchup, mustard, relish, barbecue sauce, and other condiments at really good prices. All of those ingredients are shelf stable and they'll last for months in your pantry, and they're also great to take to potlucks and work events. You should also find good deals on chips, dips, salad dressings, your s'more supplies, hamburgers, and hot dog buns too. Your grilling meats should also start to go on sale this month, so make sure you stock up on those to either freeze them or can it. And then also, Memorial Day sales often include small kitchen appliances such as blenders and coffee makers. And you know, these make great gifts for upcoming summer weddings or Mother's Day, which is also this month. Y'all, how was your Easter? Mine went off without a hitch. Thank you for asking. My lemon artichoke risotto, herbed lamb, baked ham, and grilled asparagus was so satisfying. Now around any holiday, you should certainly be stocking up on your meats, maybe just right before the holiday, and then certainly when those items start to go on clearance in the days and perhaps weeks after the holiday has passed. So this year I ended up with 3 hams. One is still in my freezer and I'm gonna get to that later this month. And then the second one, I just went ahead and completely sliced it for easy ham and provolone cheese sandwiches during the summer that I could just use for car trips. And then we ate half of one on Easter. And then with the other half, I made 13 pints of ham and bean and ham and corn soup. If you have not seen my chicken and corn soup video, get on it, because in that video, I show you how I essentially use that as a meal starter for like 8 different recipes, and I use my ham and corn soup in a very similar way. Honey, this is the basis for ham and corn chowder, a scalloped potato and corn ham bake, or a ham and corn brunch casserole. Here's how I did it.
I first started by cutting off the fatty layer and rind from the ham. You'll want to save this, and I'll give you some ideas on how you can use this in a bit. Now, I left some meat around the bone, but added it to a crock pot to create a ham-flavored bone broth. Then I chopped the rest.
Now ask yourself, when's the last time you've seen chunks of meat that big in any store-bought soup? Oh yeah, never.
Since I make bone broth every week, I first used up some chicken broth that I had in the fridge to make my ham and corn soup. I had a bag of frozen corn from the March frozen food sale, and I added my ham. I cannot tell you how good this kitchen was smelling. Next, I poured my soup into pint-sized jars that I can easily take to work or accompany alongside a salad or bread.
Y'all, this is why home canned soups can be so indulgent and incomparable in quality, yet still be some of the cheapest ingredients in your pantry.
Next up, I did a quick boil with some lima beans I had and placed both recipes in my canner to process for 75 minutes.
Do y'all see how these lima beans are swimming in this thick, rich broth? Y'all, I put my foot in this broth. I mean, this is a combination of ham and chicken broth. And all that flavor is gonna sit on my shelf and seep into the flavor of the slightly nutty and sweet undertone of these lima beans. All this needs is a side of cornbread and you've got a happy heart and a full belly. Now, my dad calls these beans butter beans, as most people from the South do, but my mom, who's from Maryland, calls these lima beans. But either way you say it, honey, call it good. All right, so what am I gonna do with my fat scraps? I truly switch it up. For right now, I just have them in this jar in the fridge because I am harvesting kale and collards from my green stalks out back. And if I wanna cook those greens, all I need to do is slice off a little bit of this fat to season the cast iron and my greens. But I also have some dried pinto beans that I wanna use. And y'all, I'm not even gonna worry about not having meat in them. Once I toss the ham bone and a few of these scraps in the crock pot with a diced onion and my pinto beans, and let those bad boys simmer for 18 hours. Oh, good gracious, it's one of the best things you could put over rice. It is wonderful to get up in the middle of the night with a house radiating with that combination of flavors. So what I'm saying is that this is seasoning and a healthy fat, so don't toss it. I hear some of y'all in the back saying, Cassandra, you really use every morsel of food? Yeah, you should too. Look, you either just came from the grocery store or you fixing to go. And I ain't trying to be all up in your business, but feeding yourself or your family is one of the biggest expenses you probably have, and one that gives you some obvious signs on whether you're literally throwing your money in the trash. Yep, your kitchen trash can don't lie, so look at it. Heck, smell it. Count the number of bags you take out each week filled with food that you didn't eat from your fridge, freezer, or your plate. That waste is real money you literally threw away. Multiply the cost of those ingredients by 52 weeks in a year, and that number is likely around several $100s. Now look, when it comes to food waste, nobody is perfect, but honey, all you and I are trying to do is be more intentional. So that's why you gotta stop buying foods without a recipe or a plan, ignoring sales cycles, and not eating in-season foods. Now, while you're at the grocery store, look out for soon-to-expire food. No, I'm not being funny. That's because those expiration dates on food really aren't expiration dates. Now, use the sense that God and Granny gave you, but here's an example of what I mean. Now, whipping cream is one of your pricier dairy items, but what I've been doing is when I open up the cold case, I will note the dates of when it's set to expire. And that's when I sweep in and buy the items that the store will inevitably mark down. I just scored whipping cream for $2.25 a carton, and you know that price is unheard of. And I wrote down that the 16th of next month is when the fresh stuff is set to expire. So guess who's gonna be back on the store on that date to get her cartons of whipping cream? Yup, this girl. The same goes for cuts of meat. I will poke around in those cases and I usually find a few packages that are marked down. Y'all, look, I say the little things so I would remember. I found chuck steak that they were going to sell for $7.99 a pound. And y'all, look, I got it for $3.95 a pound. Yep, so I took those packages home, canned it that very night, and look what I got. And that's why I love canning, because it allows me to hop all over those sales that others pass by because they don't have, freezer space, or they don't know how they're going to use it within the next day or two. But with canning, I have a plan to preserve it. It's going to be shelf stable. And then when I find a recipe where I want to enjoy it, bam, I have it for a fraction of the cost. So along those lines, I've also got some Easter chocolate. I found these for 29 cents a bag. They were originally $2 at Aldi. And then I found this entire container of milk chocolate from Wise. This was $1 $1. And then about a week after Easter, I found these Russell Stover chocolates. They're also, are these milk chocolate? Yeah, they're milk chocolate. They wanted us to pay, oh my goodness, $9 for this, y'all. I grabbed it for $4.49. So like I said, this weekend I'm going to take all of this chocolate, put it in a pan and melt it down. And then I'm going to pour it into my little mold. And I'll only likely fill it about halfway. That way I have chocolate ready for this summer s'mores at a fraction of what I would be paying if I just wanted to pick up, you know, a few chocolate candy bars. Now, speaking of expiration dates, this pertains to non-perishable items too. Y'all know I love to send cards, and the cards that I showed you last month were ones that I had purchased over a year ago. And so after Easter, y'all, I went ahead and I did the same thing. Now, these cards were originally being advertised just right at Aldi for 37 cents, which is, you know, a great deal for sure. But then, y'all, when I went to the register, they rang up for 14 cents, which, I mean, at that price, they're essentially giving them away. And so I think I originally maybe picked up like 4 or 5 cards, but then of course at that price I went back and grabbed, you know, 3 or 4 more. So if you also like to send out your holiday cards, this is a reminder to always get them after the holiday has passed and just hang on to them somewhere so that you have them for the following year. So y'all know that I'm really trying to cut down on the number of disposables that I use in my kitchen, and in particular, you know, plastic bags and packaging. Well, last month, April, was Earth Day, and so around that time you can generally find the best prices on all of your reusable goods. Now, I showed you a few bags and containers that I got, and I still wanted more, but you know, some of the good stuff is a little bit pricey. Well, y'all, when I was poking around at TJ Maxx, look what I found. Look at this container for $5.50. You have the lid here. It comes with your fork at one end, the spoon at the other. It's collapsible, so it's great for storage. And I just love having these little options that I can, you know, tuck away for picnics or car trips, or just even, you know, our work lunches if we needed to rotate through. So I found 2 different colors here. I mean, I couldn't beat that price, $4.50, because as I said, these things can really be up in price. They went at $20, $19.99 originally for these. So, I mean, great buy. So what I'm basically saying with all this is don't be afraid to poke around in the clearance section. So y'all, my spring garden is back, and I am so excited to have all of my herbs returning and all of my green leafy vegetables for my salad. If you missed how I'm growing over 120 vegetables on my deck, I will link that video below. But in that video, I shared all of the, you know, seeds and the plants that I'm growing for my spring garden. So you might be kind of surprised that in addition to buying seeds, I also bought some fake flowers. Let me explain. So in front of my townhome, there are several large shade trees, but between that, the high shade, and the deer, I haven't had any luck these past couple of years growing anything colorful in my front lawn. And I've tried several different plants and varieties that are shade loving, yada yada, but it just, nothing is taking out there until I remembered what one of the church mothers did with her lawn. For years, whenever we would go to visit Sister Maxine's house, I would always remember how striking the flowers in her flower bed looked. Well, I finally asked her what she was growing, and she chuckled and said to me, "Cass, I'm not growing them, I'm showing them. Baby, these are artificial flowers." Well, after she burst my bubble with that news, I came around to thinking that that was a pretty clever idea. Pests or animals wouldn't bother them. You're guaranteed a perpetual bloom, and you could switch them out to match the seasons. So I had kept an eye out for some artificial flowers last year at the thrift store, and I found like 3 or 4 sunflowers. I came home, stuck them in the ground, and honey, they did the trick. I have some nice and cheap curb appeal. Every time I pull up into my parking space, fake as they be, they still make me smile. I recently found some more at the thrift store, and after this last rain when the soil was moist, I went ahead and planted some more. I share this because if you have an area where nothing will grow, consider sticking something artificial there. It'll still bring you joy, even if it's a simple planter box right outside of your apartment window. Okay, y'all, so while I was at the thrift store, I found a milk frother for $3.
I gave my new find a good wash, and it's now right at home on my coffee station. Freshly grinding your beans allows the coffee oils and microgrounds through to your final mug and maintains the natural oils and aromatics, which adds another layer of flavor I'm convinced you can't get from a machine. And you certainly don't need to shell out that kind of money when a manual setup will give you superior results. Before the day gets hectic, this morning routine is a gentle way to kickstart the day, and the frother truly gave great results.
So do y'all remember all those freezer meals I made last month and my goal was to organize my freezer and take care of some of that inventory? Y'all, I packed most of those meals in a cooler and they were perfect for the few days that we spent at a cottage in Charlottesville. Now this trip is only about 3.5 hours away from home, but I really want to encourage you, if you're not already, to consider offsetting a portion, if not all of your food needs when you travel. The food cost of eating out per day can easily rival what you pay for lodging or gas. I completely eliminated that cost, which really made our 2-day getaway economical.
This is the time of year we generally, but not always, like to drive down to Charlottesville, Virginia and just spend a few days. So I packed the cooler, our bags, and me and my boys hit the road. On the way down, we pass an antique store and restaurant, Jack's Kitchen Shop, and I always pop in. Y'all, I could live in this place. And yes, I purchased this beautiful crock. We wanted this short trip to be low-key, and we stayed in a small little cottage minutes from downtown that was maybe small on square feet, but big on charm. Thor, our French bulldog fur baby, wasted no time inspecting our new place, and this city dog found happiness in the grass. And so did I. I always prefer to stay at a place that has a full kitchen, and it was easy enough to unpack our freezer meals in the fridge. While Charlottesville boasts impressive historical sites, a vibrant culinary and art scene, and scenic parks, many of which we visited, this trip was all about slowing down and, just finding time to read a good book. One day, I'd love to have a screened-in patio right off the kitchen, just like this, squeaky door and all. When it was time to make dinner, y'all, I was so excited to cook on a gas stove since all I have is electric at home. Now, some might think it's a chore to cook while on a trip, but I beg to differ. Since I wasn't bombarded with all of the usual tasks that I have at home, and my meals were basically fully cooked, eating home-cooked meals while away made me feel like I kind of lived here, if only as a daydream.
At that age where more and more I see myself settling into the habits of my parents. Growing up, on most days after dinner, Mom and Dad would sit down together and watch Wheel of Fortune, and after that, Jeopardy. And guess who likes to do the same with her hubby?
Fishing?
No. Wish sticks? Frying fish sticks.
Yes, there you go.
Flying fish sticks?
What? Before and after, like...
Yeah, that's insane.
After dinner, I cleaned up a bit and we settled into the evening enjoying time on the patio. The next morning, we enjoyed fruit-filled frozen oatmeal, which is a recipe I shared in my breakfast freezer meal video. These oatmeal cups are packed with fresh frozen fruit, which includes raspberries and blueberries and strawberries, sliced almonds, flaxseed, quinoa, and brown sugar. I packed ground coffee from home, and we enjoyed a delicious breakfast. After breakfast, we ventured downtown, and my husband and I meandered the streets and visited a few used bookshops. Meals make memories, and later that evening we enjoyed the chicken Tuscan crockpot meal that I made, followed by homemade English muffins, turkey sausage, and scrambled eggs with orange juice for breakfast. Just good, simple living for two folks that needed to catch their breath.
A lot of y'all have already met my mom and dad. Now my dad is not camera shy, so when he's up, you see and hear him. My mom's a bit more timid, but here's what we were up to when she was here last week.
So these two Maryland girls are getting themselves some crab cakes at one of the best spots in Maryland. We think this is the best place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, where are we, Mom?
The Boatyard and Grill in Annapolis, Maryland.
Yes, the Boatyard and Grill in Annapolis, Maryland. You've got to check it out. They use only lump crab meat, Maryland Old Bay seasoning, like no filler, right? Like
no filler.
Oh my gosh. And it is just seasoned to perfection. Oh, they're like an experience. They're so good.
Mouth-watering.
Yes, mouth-watering. Yes. All right, let's eat. So we just finished our lunch, and I have resisted this pottery place, Mom, for how long? For years. Today I think I'm gonna go ahead and just take a look. Maybe I'll find something, maybe I won't. It looks like I may have found a mug.
If you're looking for more ways to save money and you haven't seen all the episodes in this series, click on the playlist on your screen. I'll see you in my kitchen or garden soon. Take care, friends.